On this episode today, we're going to talk about how unresolved issues could be the silent killer of love. Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about love and marriage, the way that God intended. Life experience, here we share it. The NoFruit Podcast. Tune in from any platform. Podcast. Will help your spirit transform.
So today we're going to talk about unresolved issues that could be the silent killer of love. And so we're going to just kick it off with this. While the intro to the song or to the podcast was playing, I was sitting here shaking my little shoulders or whatever it was, thinking if I could really dance. Now, what if Kafa, the way I was dancing, what if that really irked her? And so, excuse me, and that's something could be really unresolved issue, right? It could be the little things.
Yes.
So I think that I belong on dancing on air, dance feed, whatever it might be. Meanwhile, Kafa's like, you can't dance yourself out of a cereal box mentality. So that can cause friction in the marriage because I think that I'm great. She thinks that I'm not so great. And so, and then because I think I'm great, like, yo, I'm killing it. She like, your little ego needs to, calm down a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how do we, in relationships, deal with that? How do we deal with those unresolved, quiet issues, and how does that stop us in our of growing in love and maturing in our relationships? What are your thoughts, Kyle? How would you deal with the fact that I think that I can dance and you think I can't?
I mean, I think there are things that are great for home. And then there's some things that...
Did y'all hear that? That was a jab.
You could have saw Maurice's face. Oh, my gosh. We have to start recording this video. Yeah, there's certain things that are great for to be done at home, and there's some things that you can share with the world, and the world can appreciate it. There is a place, a quiet place, that you can call your own. And sometimes that's where you can dance in that quiet, alone place. And sometimes there's that same space you can sing, out loud. But you're all alone and you're quiet. Why do you keep laughing? And you do those things in your quiet place alone, in your home, in your car, where the world doesn't have to. I don't understand why you asked a serious question. I'm trying to be serious.
You're not answering it seriously.
I am.
You're not.
I think there's times that there's things you just do by yourself, like that it's alone. If it's not appealing and pleasing to your spouse. So, for example, you don't like beans.
I don't.
You don't like peas.
I don't.
I don't know. There's very many things that are small and round or that you like. So, yeah, no chili with beans, no soup with beans, no rice with peas, none of those things. So I like chili with beans.
Mm-hmm.
So occasionally, a few times a year, I will go to a store when I'm out with others in a restaurant. I may order chili with beans because I know, I'm not going to make this at home because it would be pointless to make it
Mm-hmm.
and just have it for myself. I guess I could, but I enjoy it when I'm out and about.
Mm-hmm.
Example, when we were out traveling recently
Mm-hmm.
and it was on the menu, I ordered it
Mm-hmm.
and I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you enjoyed watching me enjoy it at that particular time.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know if you enjoyed it later on.
I don't recall.
I think I was okay. It wasn't. I don't think I had much.
Yeah.
Much.
You didn't
issue.
share.
Yeah, I
You
didn't share.
you
I didn't share. So I shared that I enjoyed it,
Yes.
but I didn't have any issues after it. I think I continued to enjoy it.
Yes.
I don't think it had an adverse.
I didn't have to, not
think
enjoy it.
Yeah, I didn't, and I didn't have an adverse effect.
Yes.
To my enjoyment. But I think, for those things that, are the pet peeves of your spouse, you got to work on some of them. And in other things, you find a way not to do them or not to do them around that person. That's my thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts?
Mm-hmm.
If I, was in the same situation of dancing and you just thought as though, girl, you just
So I believe
don't.
that there are some things that I will encourage because I'm silly like that. I can be silly like that. So I understand that, hey, you know what? There are some things that just deserves the nervous energy outlet, right?
Mm-hmm.
I understand that part. But then there are some things, as you stated, that are strictly for the home setting. And it might not even be just the home setting. It might be a situation where, because you said closet or a room or something.
I didn't say closet.
Whatever you said,
I
where
said car.
whatever it might be, where you're isolated. I was thinking garage. I'm thinking about the back shed. I'm thinking about a tree that's 100 yards away that nobody else can see you. Sometimes you just gotta.
I thought of the tree in the outside, but I was just like, that somebody might drive by or walk.
No, 100 yards away where you got a really, really big yard, 30 acres, something like that. Where nobody else can see you. Where actually let's revise that because you might have the opportunity of getting struck by lightning. So I don't want that. But you just see your eyes. But I think that there are times where it's called for you to do those type of things.
Yes.
Now, how it could be an unresolved issue is that, as you're stating, if it's constantly happening, right? And if it's and here's the thing, it might feel cute in the beginning of the relationship. Like, oh, look at that little nervous twitch or whatever, right? You get what I mean? Like, it might be something along those lines.
You snort when you laugh. Like, that might be cute when you do it once. But do
it again. And again. Oh, wow, you did it in front of these people?
Oh.
Oh.
Yes.
Are you serious?
I'm not getting that now.
And here's the thing. I already have an attitude. And I feel like you're putting on in front of these people. Like, I could tell you're being fake, but you get the fake. You used to say that I had a fake laugh.
Yes.
I have a real laugh, and then I have a, hey, I'm just here for the moment laugh.
Correct.
And so, and that used to get on your nerves. They used to. And so, so the reality is, or you feel like, hey, because of whatever we got going on in our lives, I don't get the real, something that you said to me, Maurice, you don't give me the real laugh. I don't feel like, you're giving me who you really are because of whatever's going on. You never know what the situation is. And so that can become another unresolved issue that could be, as you're stating, if I'm not getting all of you, is that making you pull back and fall back too?
So just for clarification, as we know with life, there's code switching. There's, you have your on and off switch. So I may walk in from the market, from work, from whatever outdoor activity I was, doing, singing and dancing in the, near a tree, as Maurice just said. Whatever it was, I'll come in the house and Maurice is on the phone and he's busting it up and he's laughing and, just giving 100% on the phone, or it seems as though. And then, laughing seems, just jolly, all those great things. Belly laughs out. I mean, you can hear him laughing from outside. Like, it's just whatever. Then he gets off the phone a few minutes after I get in, and the whole atmosphere, the tone, everything just flips. So I'm just like, well, what happened? You know what I mean? So those are some of the things I think that I was just like, well, I don't get the full you. Or if we are talking and we're laughing about something, again, like I said, that was not the laugh that would come out. So, the laugh that you had with me, whether we're looking at a movie, whether we're talking about something, was a different laugh than that other laugh. That's all I'm saying.
Oh no, and I understand, but again, it it goes back and forth, right? It goes hand in hand with both parties, in my opinion. And sometimes we don't understand that the thing that we may not like is the thing that we're doing as well.
Right.
Now here's the challenge with this, because we're talking about unresolved issues. Sometimes with these unresolved issues, and we're doing this tit for tat situation, we're hurting ourselves, and on top of that, maybe we're aware. I only can speak for myself because of what Kafi might have had challenge with. Now I'm aware of what is going on. What am I trying to change? In my relationships, both internally and externally. And now am I building up a quiet resentment towards her? Because now I'm not enjoying myself. Now I'm cutting myself off. Now, did that happen in our reality? It did, to a degree. But then it's also like, all right, Maurice, so if this is your partner in life, why aren't you doing? Why aren't you being? Why are you, whatever? And I think some of it is, again, some of the things that we had going on. We had a lot of stuff going on for a long, long time, and not being able to cut off or separate. All right. If we're sitting here talking about this bill, again, y'all know that we've filed for bankruptcy or whatever it's been. So this bill or this utility is about to get cut off. But now we're sitting here and we're trying to get through it by laughing, having a genuine conversation, whatever it is. How much of that bill or the issues with that bill is still manifesting itself in that conversation? And so sometimes, I know for myself, it hasn't always been the easiest to transition from one thought to another and being genuine and present in that moment. That's been one of my challenges. So as Kafi's talking about, hey, I'm laughing and joking with somebody, that's because they're crazy. And I could kind of get away from this utility being cut off. Then I'm talking to Kafa. We're having a real conversation about the utility. And, she's like, well, you were talking to such and such and you were laughing about. I'm like, yeah. And I can't revisit the conversation in the same manner because I'm more worried about the bill still. So I can't retell it. I can't relive it. It's almost like, well, you got to be there. But then that also causes issues too. Because it's not the same. So I think the challenge is these moments being unresolved can build up to be something greater. because there are some things that, and just based off of, again, our own experiences, there are some things that didn't happen, some conversations that did not happen until we were in year 21, 22, even 24. And so the reality is that there are certain situations and times where that stuff just finally comes up. It's not, hey, you know, that you can always resolve the issue at that moment. Maybe you can't find a real time or place. You got to wait for that door to open up. Yeah, also have to wait for not only for that person that you're talking to be able to be mature enough to handle it, but what about yourself being mature enough? And I know for myself, I haven't always been in that position. You know, so I understand that, hey, it can be, or it could feel like it could be unresolved, but I think that it can be resolved, understanding that I need to be mature enough to handle the end result, because I may not always like the way you answer, Kyle. I may not always like the body language, because again, everything's not verbal. It's also, you know, physical, being the body language or whatever it is. I can also think about, oh wow, the time. So for an example, if I say to Kafa, again, you know, I'm saying to her or suggesting to do X, Y, and Z, and what if it's that time of month where her attitude, she's already right?
Yeah.
She's already ready to, you know, so the way she'll look at me, it be like, dude, please, in our reality. You know, and so you got to think about that as well. Hey, you know what, Maurice, I need you to be more whatever. Well, Kyle, you do understand, like, my allergies are bothering the crap out of me. You know, so sometimes timing hurts as well.
Exactly. You know, I think, you know, what you're saying, it's true. It hits home that there's a lot of variables in this thing, on what causes issues in the relationship. You know, sometimes it's not just the issue itself. As you're saying, it could be the body language, it could be the time of the month, it could be the rising of the sun, it could be the full moon, you know, it could be whatever else that is a factor towards the individual, towards the couple, towards the family unit. All of those things, you know, attack or eat at or whatever can break things down and be an attributing factor to a silent killer towards the family, towards the love, towards the relationship, or whatever. I don't know reality where we would be if we hadn't started talking to each other more, if we didn't start dating each other again. Again, in dating, you're collecting data, you're talking, you're asking questions, you're seeing each other differently. Yes, we dated prior to marriage. We dated a little bit, I think, when we first got married. But once, and we talk about this all the time on the show, that once we became parents, and we became parents, you know, I think we're no longer dating. We had a few date nights, but the reality is that I think even with our date nights, they weren't date nights. It was a lot of times because you were in a fraternity and they were doing something and you wanted to be present and the kids couldn't be there. So we got a sitter. Most of the times it was our parents. I don't think we even we never had a sitter that wasn't a parent. So, or a family member. I guess a few times they went with an aunt. So, you know, we didn't have those date nights. So looking back, hindsight, you know, would I suggest to others to implement date nights? And I hear other people who say, you know, every month we have a date night, and they have different ways to come up with those ideas, and that's what's, you know, seems to be strong and has kept their family together and kept their marriage together. I think we had family date nights. We had lots of those. But Maurice and I didn't have a lot of just he and I getting to be connected and, hey, what's going on with you? How do you feel about the week? What do you think of, what's going on with the kids impacting you? We would have family meetings. But in reference to dealing with some of the issues that, have kind of come in or those issues that don't get resolved. And there's going to be issues that are not going to be resolved. And hopefully, we don't wait until it becomes more than an issue.
I think the date night allows a level of or you have to be in a level of non-control,
Mm-hmm.
a level of being relaxed and comfortable. And I think sometimes as we've been going through some of our challenges, Kaf, that I haven't always been able to do that.
Right.
Effectively, efficiently, whatever it might have been. And then that's number one. Number two would be, in especially early on when, because again, we didn't have those type of conversations about our financial awareness like we do now. For us to sit down and say, all right, let's go have a date. Well, it costs money.
Mm-hmm.
And so how are we going to deal with this situation if we already having a money issue? How are we going to have a date? But the other part of that is, can you really, really make a date out of anything?
Mm-hmm.
Can you be creative enough? And so, and how long does a date, like what does it have to look like?
Right.
What does it have to be like? Like if there's like you hear a lot of people right now that talk about, hey, I want to go on a date, but a date has to consist of me going shopping. Well, is that really a date? Or, what is that? I mean, I'm not going to tell anybody what their definitions really are, but can you really find out how that person ticks if you're shopping, right? Can you really find that out? Can you find out because again, if am I feeding the ego? Am I feeding whatever? Sometimes sitting down in a park, having a real heart-to-heart conversation, yes, it could feel romantic, but if you take away everything else, is just mano y mano, are you allowed to, can you give yourself enough space to be who you are in that place? And that's not easy, because the reason why, a lot of us haven't dealt with ourselves yet. We don't know ourselves yet. And we're not comfortable. One, with ourselves. Number two, if we're going through a fight, am I comfortable with you? So that's the other part of that. So, and there have been moments where even in our family meetings, I might say real quick, like, hey, things ain't right now. Things ain't going on. So it would kind of lessen some of that for myself. I don't know what Kafa might have, again, we're talking about these quiet, silent issues, unresolved issues. Now Kafa would chime in or whatever, which might spark conversations later on between the two of us. But if our challenges have been financial, going on a date, even though it sounds like a great idea, it wasn't always the answer for me, because of, we just talked about it. What does that look like? What does that feel like? Not understanding. Sometimes it's just a matter of being in the presence of the other person.
Right.
And making sure that other person is being heard and cared for, protected, whatever it is. Because I think, yes, we understand that there are some ideas of gender roles or whatever it is, But it still goes both ways.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And like you said, sometimes the unresolved issue is not even with the other person. The unresolved issue is within yourself.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So who do you think you are? Type of thing to kid. Your parent, you just say, like, who do you even think you are?
Right.
So being resolved in that and understanding who you think you are as a person, who do you think you are as a spouse, and how are you playing that role?
Right.
And is that resolved, and is that concrete, and is that real for you? And how are you playing that out on a day-to-day basis?
But see, I think some of the who do you think you are is such a wall. It's a wall.
In what way?
Because if especially if so if you and I are having a disagreement,
Mm-hmm.
one way or another, and you say something, and I say, well, who do you think you are? There's such a defense to me, in my opinion, and anybody who says it, your feelings are hurt.
Right. And I wasn't saying that you would say it I'm saying that's an internal thing. Like I said, I started that with that a lot of times it is.
And I hear you, but again, who do you think you are to tell me how I should feel? Who do you think you are to tell me what's going on? Because I don't even know who I am in that situation. You get what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's why I say I think that's a wall or a problem, because sometimes people have this idea of fixation of who they think they are in that situation, and then for you to question me, excuse me, for you to question me in that situation,
Mm-hmm.
I got a whole problem. In all honesty, I mean, and I just look at it from again my own family situation.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they don't. You're like, well, Maurice, who do you think you are? Well, evidently, you don't know who you are in that situation, i.e., why we don't bang. You get what I mean? Like, why we're not cool or whatever, whatever is going on, you feel uncomfortable because I question your real thoughts or your position in that space. And you don't like to be questioned, whatever it might be. Not you personally, I'm talking about other people. So, and that's because you have no idea of who you really are in that spot as what you're saying.
Right.
Because what side of the fence am I on? Sometimes we don't know what side of the fence we're on.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we don't know what we truly believe or don't believe, because we are so or have been so conditioned, whether it's been by our family, by our community, by society, to think and feel a certain way without being or understanding our individuality in that position. So, why do I like vanilla ice cream? Is it because that's what my mom bought the most? Or is it because that is something that's just basic and I just, it's easier to manage just having vanilla ice cream than any other ice cream? Because maybe I'm not in the mood for other stuff. Understand what's my real position in that space. Sometimes we don't take the time to understand that part. What are the other influences that we have? That doesn't mean I won't try something else.
Mm-hmm.
But
or that you don't like other things. You're
Right.
just saying, hey, vanilla is my favorite. It's my go-to.
But it's go-to because of it's not my favorite. It might be just my go-to because it'll go with everything else that we have going on.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, we go upstairs and you decide to bake cookies, right? And I mean, so we have so Kafa has cookies that she could bake, or I have some lemon Oreo cookies, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I got vanilla ice cream, even though the vanilla doesn't sound right with the Oreo cookie necessarily, the lemon Oreo cookie, but I'm pretty sure there's people that might like that.
Right.
Because it's almost like a sherbet. Also depends what kind of ice cream you have too. But I'm pretty sure that it could go together if you have vanilla ice cream.
Mm-hmm.
Could it go with chocolate? Possibly. Again, it all depends on your taste buds and what you like. Could it go with strawberry? Now, the question is, could it go with any of the other stuff, like a pistachio,
Mm-hmm.
mint chocolate chip,
Mm-hmm.
Rocky Road? You know, all the ones that got all these extra flavors in it.
Yeah.
Does the lemon cookie sound right? It might not sound right. It could taste right though. You know, odd things work. You get what I mean? But yeah, so I think those are the things where, Kyle, per your statement, do we even know who we are in that moment?
Mm-hmm.
Especially if someone asks us, you know, because again, sometimes when you say stuff out loud, it might be to that individual, but you might be really asking yourself too. Or your ears open enough to say, hey, do I even know who I am in that spot?
Right. I mean, so to get to what you had said from the very beginning at the top of the show, in reference to unresolved issues, as you were dancing to the theme song, the intro, you know, if I had an issue with that, if I had an unresolved issue with that, that has nothing to do with you. That's for me to get over myself and my unresolved issue. I can bring it up to you, you know, because a lot of things like, well, I don't like when you do that. So we talked about, hey, well, you can do that out in the middle in your 30 acres. You can do that in your car. You can whatever. But no, the problem is that I have an issue with you expressing yourself through dance because I don't think you can do it very well. You know what I mean? Or the fact that you didn't ask me to dance with you. You know, now I have an issue and I'm pushing that issue onto you. And now my issue becomes, I'm making it your issue. And now I have a different viewpoint of you because, you know, I have an unresolved issue that, oh, well, you dancing and whatever, I'm not. You didn't ask me to dance. You know, I don't even like the way you dance, you know, type of a thing.
Hey, you don't like the way I dance because, like you just stated, you're not dancing with me.
Right.
I didn't invite you to the party.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you don't understand my mental party at the moment. I'm just, you know, again, we're just using this as an example, y'all. Right now I'm just dancing because we have some stuff coming up, and that was in my brain, and I can see myself dancing at those moments. We have some trips coming and whatever it is. So yeah, I'm excited. You know, so yeah, so I think those are things that we need to understand, that some of our unresolved issues, like as you stated, Kafi, are more internal.
Mm-hmm.
And they only can be resolved if we have a conversation about it.
Right. But and like you're saying, have that conversation about it with ourselves first.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, why is this an issue? You know, is it really, really an issue? Like, is the dance an issue? The fact that you're dancing? You know, is it
The fact that I'm smiling?
The type of dance you're doing? Like you said, hey, you're shaking your shoulders.
Right.
You know, was it that? You know, if you was doing a two-step, would I have been easier with it? You know, is it because, hey, I think we should be serious? Hey, is it because you didn't ask me to dance? You know, like there's all those things. So first, I think doing that, you know, internal evaluation of what the heck really is going on. You know, what's wrong with you type thing. So, and then sharing with your partner that, hey, you know, when you did that, I kind of felt some kind of way. I think it was because of this. You know, it didn't have anything at all to do with you. Or maybe it did, you know, and I'm going to explain to you, you know, or we can work it out together.
So how do we really address it?
As I just said, I think we communicate it with that person.
But how do we, and I guess the reason I'm kind of going back to that, because if everyone is not going to want to speak, right? Everyone's not going to address it, especially when it happens.
Yes.
Right? You know, and some people might hold it off.
Right. And if you're going to do that self-evaluation real quick, you know, it may not happen right away. You may need to take that time away to evaluate and then come back.
Mm.
No, I wouldn't say wait a month and be like,
Okay.
you know, type of a thing. Or maybe it, you know, you hold it until it happens again. Be like, oh yeah, I meant to talk to you about that. You know, I've done a little digging, and this is what I'm feeling. And when you did that before, it brought up these feelings, and this is why I think it brought those feelings up. And I think coming to it in that regard can be open, and hopefully that person will be more receptive in it. Or they, you know, again, there's all different types of relationships, and maybe they're not, you know, so I'm not quite sure. What about yourself? What do you think? How do you think it should be handled?
I think that it's challenging because one, some people like to handle things head on, and there's some people that's kind of like, well, I don't know, or whatever. And I think when it comes down to it, for both positions, just being okay enough, because sometimes the people that want to hit, you know, strike stuff head on are still not necessarily thinking it through, because they might be jumping all the way into it. So I think you're right that maybe taking a moment and evaluating the situation and then coming back. And that does not mean evaluating it for the next 3 days.
Correct.
That doesn't mean that. It might mean the next 3 minutes, because take the moment to calm down, right? And take and look at the whole picture, because you know, you hear, hey, I'm dealing with my truth and I don't care who's around, what's around, whatever. But there's a time and place for everything. You don't want to embarrass nobody.
Or yourself.
Well, you know, some people have no shame about that.
Right, but there's a lot of times at that point you say so much and you can't pull back.
Right. You know, so I would say, you know, analyze the situation, analyze the environment. Is it really the right time or place to say something? And then go from there, you know, but also understand that if you say it in a certain manner, be ready to deal with the consequences. Because some people will also say, well, I don't care. I'm going to say what I got to say. They could take it however I want them to. But then that means you got to deal with the way they take it, you know, the way they take it. So now have you lost a friend of 50 years? You know, so, and now 3 or 4 months from now, when you're sitting around and you're like, wow, this person, we don't go to lunch together anymore. Wow, you know, we don't go out and have a drink anymore. Oh, wow, they canceled the trip that we were supposed to go on. Or we had to cancel the trip because, you know, we're not speaking anymore. You know, so understand what, you know, what the backlash can be.
Yes.
Oh, wow, you know what? My lunch buddy at work, they're no longer around. Because now, guess what? Because of that situation, like as you just stated, which I didn't consider about the embarrassment part.
Right.
But, you know, if you're embarrassed, you're like, yo, I ain't got to work here no more. I'm out. And you know what? You might have been the only reason why they stayed. Because, hey, I got a friend here or whatever it is, and now you're going to shut it down. Well, you know what? I'm going to go over here. And then you find out that person is flossing and everything else at the new job. You know, now you're like, well, what about me?
Yes.
Well, if you would have kept your mouth quiet and thought for a second instead of lashing out, maybe things could be a little bit different. And understand the long-term effect. That doesn't mean to quiet that voice for you to not have peace or whatever it is once you speak, but just understand what that could look like long term. And so imagine what it is now that you have this life partner that you really would like to be with for your life, on the rest of your life. What is it that you're doing? You know, how do you respond? Do you really understand the value that they bring to the table? So is it worth you speaking your truth, risk losing everything for that one moment? You can feel justified in it at that time, but again, 5 years from now, when you be like, dang, this is our 30th wedding anniversary. Oh, wow. The kids are having a birthday party. Should I go? Should I not go? You get what I mean? Like, there's so many other factors that I hear people kind of contemplate, especially when their kids are getting older and the kids are having milestones or whatever it is. It's like, should I go? Should I not go? And then you get, or you're in a position where it's like, I'm watching them flourish in another relationship. I mean, we got family members that's like that, where they might have separated and then they see their kids parent, the other parent in another relationship. They're like, oh, wow. Well, what about me? What happened? How come I can't find? Well, how come I can't do? Well, if you would have not blown up, it might be a different spot, so, so I think those are the type of things that we need to understand as Kafi, as you're talking about also these moments of not being embarrassed, and we're talking about things being unresolved or whatever it is. Sometimes we have to understand why we're in that position.
Right.
And why it is important for us to understand who we are and what we are in that place. And why we need to take a moment to analyze what are our thoughts, our morals, our values, why we're looking at these places and jobs or whatever it is. So there's a tool that I have currently called the Well, Why Not Workbook that can help you with some of these things to grow and to mature within your relationship, within your relationship with yourself first. And then it helps you work through some of your pain points, because that's the other part too. We don't always understand when we say, hey, who do you think you're talking to? That's a pain point. And so, again, because we're hurt, we don't have an answer to that. And so we have to now understand why we're feeling this way towards this situation. And this book that I have authored, Well, Why Not the Workbook, you can find it now on Amazon. If you're having challenge with finding it, just type in my name, Maurice D. Chisholm, and the D stands for determined, to help you get to a better life. So you can find it now on Amazon, .com. If not, go to my website, mauricechisholm.com, and the link is right there on the homepage.
Yes. And all of that information is in the show notes for you all.
Yes.
So you can certainly be able to click right away and get that, so that you can work through some of the unresolved issues that you have, and become better people, become a better person for yourself and for your relationship, so that you're not killing your love, so you're not killing your marriage, so you're not killing yourself.
Right.
I think it's really, really important to do that deep dive and learn more about yourself. So, like Maurice said, it's a great tool to use along the way. So don't be afraid to click on that link at the bottom there of the show notes and check it out, see a little bit about it. And if you have questions, you can certainly email Maurice about whatever questions you have, and he'll be able to respond to you in reference to that.
And so you can hit us up on NoFruitPodcast@gmail.com. And not just myself, but Kafi can answer as well, because she's very well versed in life. So
I've been here for a long time now.
But we thank y'all very much for listening to us today.
Yes, thanks so much for listening, and we hope that this has been a help for you. If it has, please, again, send us a note, make a comment. We'll be glad to listen and read about it.
And we'll talk to y'all a little bit later.
Bye.
Peace.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the No Fruit Podcast, where we bring you fruitful conversations, ripened wisdom, and love that's deeply rooted. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and share it with someone who could use a little inspiration in their day. Until next time, stay rooted in love, and remember, every seed you plant today shapes the fruit of tomorrow.